I was born and raised as a white woman in society. I grew up in Norwell, Massachusetts, a small town of around 10,000 people, 98% of them being white. My town is known as being an expensive place to live with a great school system. I, along with all of my peers, knew that we were privileged to grow up in a town like Norwell. As much as I love to call this seaside town my home, I know that it is flawed. Growing up, I knew that I was lucky, but I cannot fully recognize this privilege because it is hard to do so when you are the privileged one and not someone who is seeing the issue from the outside. In a recent interview, Hillary Clinton was asked her opinion on white privilege. She addressed the fact that growing up she knew she was lucky, but she did not fully understand just how privileged she was being raised as a white person in America.
I never really knew what was or wasn't part of the privilege. I just knew that I was a lucky person, and that being lucky was in part related to who I am, where I'm from, and the opportunities I had.
Reading Peggy McIntosh's White Privilege, Unpacking the Invisible Knapsack, made me realize how overprivileged I am. There are some aspects of living in a society that is centralized around white supremacy that I had not noticed before. I never questioned my safety at home. I always knew that I could sleep soundly at night without the fear of someone breaking into my house. I was constantly surrounded by people of my own race. I never applied for a job knowing that my race may or may not prohibit me from becoming employed. I never questioned why Band-Aids were all the color of my skin tone. I have never been persecuted or victimized because of the color of my skin. These realizations have led me to believe that this democracy is not entirely equal. Because of my skin tone, I have unfair advantages over people of other races. Most white people do not want to talk about the issue of race within this country. We like to fool ourselves into believing that racism is not an issue. It makes white people uncomfortable to address these problems. However, the first steps to finding a solution to this problem is admitting that there is one. As a society, we need to admit that white people have a hugely unfair advantage over the minority in almost every area of life. Us white people should use our advantage to bring the issue of privilege into the light and hopefully work our way towards a solution in a more equal society.